Good morning. Welcome back. I am going to launch the very first online version of Mrs. M Answers Your Questions. I've looked over your questions for yesterday's reading, and I think that a few of you are really struggling to understand what is going on. So I wanted to make sure that you don't forget that when you are reading, each prologue and scene will have a summary on the left hand page over here on this side. So you're reading the text, well, not my questions, but you are reading the text of the play on the right hand side. And on the left hand side are the definitions of words like solus, which several of you did catch. Even if you didn't didn't remember your Latin, you caught the fact that on the left-hand side, it told you that solus was alone. But even more than that, I need you to read those summaries. If you're not understanding what the scene or the prologue is about, then you can go back. You can do it however it works best for you. You can read it before so that when you read the scene or the prologue, then you already know what it's about and you're just kind of filling in the details. Or you can try to sort it out yourself, which I admire and applaud. And then if you feel like you don't understand it, then you can go back and read those summaries and then maybe scan again to make sure that everything fits into that paradigm. All right, so these are your questions. Super, absolutely grateful for the 16 of you who answered. I'm a little nervous. Actually, Madison, I think your questions didn't come through because there's nothing on either blank. You don't have to have a question for me to answer. If you do, this is where you put it. But I would like for everyone to have an interesting thought whenever I ask for it. So that won't always be what I ask you for, but I would like for you to do that. So here is, I tell you what, a little bit later in this video, I'm going to give you a way to earn an extra credit point today. So keep watching and make sure you're paying attention. Okay, I'm going to get out of this and I am going to go to my Act 1 video notes, and I'm going to actually add onto it what we have been reading yesterday together. Okay, so yesterday in the prologue of Act 2, we have the chorus giving us a lovely description of how excited everyone in England is to go to battle. So Henry has notified them that they're going to go to war on France. And of course, this is a long-standing rivalry between these two countries. And so the inhabitants are both obviously excited, but also for moms and wives and children, it's also a very stressful time as battlefields were very bloody, messy events back then. And oftentimes if a sword didn't get you or a arrow or a cannonball, then if you were wounded in any way, oftentimes the inability to care for that wound properly would be what would get you. So many men who went off to battle did not come back home, and the mothers and wives and children would understand this. And so it would be a bit of a nervous time, but also an exciting time. I have put my notes in here. You can read them for yourself. I'm not going to read to you. I know you know how to do that. But one thing that they talk about is that even men were selling land to buy horses to take on this battle. So a lot of preparation, all of the fancy clothes for dinner parties and that kind of thing were put away, and all of the battle accoutrements, the clothing and the weapons and all of that would have been brought out and burnished and prepared and packed for this journey. All right, so everyone is gathering at the seaside town of Southampton. It's a seaport, and they are going to sail from Southampton to France to make war on France. Okay, so all of this is not a secret to the leadership of France. They are aware that Henry is serious about coming and claiming his throne, or the one that he thinks he deserves in France, the one they do not agree with him about. But they are nervous, and so they have secretly I think the words were pale policy, have subscribed to this shady way of going about this battle. They don't want Henry to even land on French shores. So they have corrupted 3 of Henry's nobles through bribery. They've offered them land and crowns, so land in France, if they will assassinate Henry in Southampton so that he doesn't even get a chance to even make it to France. So we're going to be looking for that information. All of that will take place, all of that story will take place in scene 2, which we will read tomorrow. Okay. Finally, the chorus makes a joke, and hopefully you caught it, but if not, I wanted to make sure I pointed it out to you because it's really funny. The chorus promises that we're going to, the stage has now become Southampton, and in a little while it's going to become the fields of France, and then we'll come back to England, all inside of this scene, inside of this act. And the chorus has promised to transport you from England to France and back from France to England over the English Channel without making you seasick. So it's kind of a joke on not upsetting your stomach. So like not making you sick to your stomach to watch this play, but also not make you seasick as you travel over the English Channel twice. So they are being a little funny with you. And remember, the chorus's job is to make sure that everybody stays engaged, that they understand what they're looking at, and that nobody gets angry and starts throwing that bad fruit that they brought with them, or tomatoes or whatever, if you don't think tomatoes are fruit. Okay, so scene 1. In this scene, you need to understand that these are characters that the playgoers would have already met in a series of plays about Henry V's dad, Henry IV. And this is also why we occasionally refer to Henry V as Harry, to keep these two separate as we discuss them. So in this scene, you will be introduced to, we don't really get to see Falstaff very much, but he was a main character in Henry IV, in the plays about Henry IV. I believe there were 3 of them. And Barstow was also a character, and Pistol and Nym and Hostess Quickly were also, I believe, in those plays. I've not read them, but they were more minor characters. One of the things that we appreciate about Shakespeare is that he often develops storylines with characters from several stratas of society. So this would be a much lower society than Henry and his nobles would run in. So we have seen the church, which is the first estate. We talked about that in Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. And then we have the nobles, which are the second estate. And then we have now a lower cast of people as we meet Hostess Quickly and her new husband, Pistol, and her former fiance, Nym. And this is the heart of this problem, this conflict that several of you missed. I think, Grace, you got it. Good job. So these two were formerly engaged to be married, Nym and Quickly, but Quickly left Nym and married Pistol, one of his friends, which would, of course, almost always create a conflict. So Barstow is attempting to keep the peace by trying to get them to be friends again. That is unsuccessful, so he finally resorts to reminding them that they are all about to leave, everyone except for Falstaff, who is dying. Barstow, Nym, and Pistol are all leaving with Henry, with his forces when he goes to France, and they will be fighting. So we will see them in future battle scenes. And they are now going to be forming an alliance, as several of you noted, that they are going to unite against a common enemy. And that is one way to often get people who have personal struggles with each other to put them aside as they work together against a common enemy. And that common enemy is France. And they are going to go across the English Channel and work together to defeat France. And so that is why they are willing at the end, through Barstow's influence, to put aside their personal quarrel with each other. These are lower class people, but they're not just lower class people. They're really morally debauched people, so they do not follow the same moral standards that we do. So oftentimes their conversation topic as well as language will be lower class. As I believe Grace noted again, there are phrases that they use that would not have been used in polite society. So we will not linger long over their conversations, but I tell you that just to remind you that we're going to have a longer conversation later about whether or not Henry the fifth made a wise choice in walking away from them. They are all very upset, particularly for Falstaff, because Falstaff was a particular friend of Henry the Fifth before he became king. And when Henry the Fourth, Harry's dad, died, Henry the Fifth put away all of these former friends who he had, become drunk with and partied with and done things that he shouldn't have done that were morally corrupt. He put them away from him, and we're going to talk about whether or not he made a wise choice. Of course, these friends feel abandoned, and they feel particularly offended for Falstaff, who was Henry V's very close friend. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more in the future, and I want you to start thinking about that. How do we as Christians deal with perhaps former friends? I hope that none of you know a time like this, but maybe your parents, if you want to talk to them about how do we deal with people that we have had as close friends in the past who are doing things that we cannot be a part of. How do we remain a good witness in their life without participating in their activities, which we can no longer condone? So this is going to be something that we discuss, as I said, in greater detail later. Okay, so here's your extra credit if you hung on till the end for this. What I would like for you to do is to go back to the reading response that you put together yesterday. And if you made it all the way to the end of this chapter, I would like for you to do two things. I'm going to add an additional column over here. I'm going to do it after we get off because we're getting long. But I'm going to add a different column, a third column that says, would you like for Miss Marshall to read the play to you? I did that for Act 1 as our review. And since several of you were struggling with understanding yesterday's, I could take this perhaps a scene at a time and read it to you and kind of talk through it as I go. So I'm going to put that as a column. I want you to respond yes or no if you feel like you're doing okay reading it by yourself. But if you are still listening and you want some extra credit, I want you to go back. Olivia, I'm going to mark yours and I will remove it after we get done. But I want you to go in and I want you to put a asterisk next to your name if you want an extra credit point this week. So that will tell me that you watched the video all the way to the end, and that'll be our little secret. All right. It has to be people who watch the video, so don't be giving our secrets away. All right. Okay. I hope you have a wonderful day today. I'm sorry I'm a little bit late with this, but and a little long. I will try to be a little shorter in the future with answering your questions, unless, of course, I start reading to you. So answer those questions for me and put your asterisk on there so that you get your extra credit. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Talk to you guys later. Missing you. Take care. Bye.